Hi there, Mr. Holcomb here with another episode of The Math Behind the Modules. This is Lesson 5, Definition of Rotation and Basic Properties. So we've already done translations, which are just shifts or slides, moving an object without turning it in any way, shape, or form. And then we did a reflection over a line. And now we are going to do a rotation. So in number 1, it says, let there be a rotation of d degrees around center O. So here's my center. Let P be a point other than O. So here's P, and obviously it is not here, so it is not O. Select D so that D is greater than or equal to 0. In other words, select a degree, D, that's greater than or equal to 0. Well, I don't know why they have an equals 0 here, because if I did, then that would coincide. And we want to rotate. And a rotation of 0 degrees is not a rotation. So let's move on. Find P prime. For example, the rotation of point P. So we're going to rotate P using a transparency. So if you were to put a piece of plastic over this and copy, which is what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start at O. I'm going to Now let me use my ruler so it's accurate. So if you have a transparency, you too should use a ruler on the transparency. So say I had a piece of plastic over this, as you do on your paper when doing this, and I rotate this and I put my ruler here just for a guide to draw this line. Okay, and then put my arrow here, put the point P here, and put the point O here. And now I'm just going to make sure everything is connected. Okay, so now I've grouped that. So now what I'm going to do is rotate this positive. Degree is positive. So a positive rotation is a rotation. If we were on the coordinate plane like so, and this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis, and I have an initial side of an angle right here, that's 0 degrees. But if I rotate and say I draw another side like that, that is 0 degrees. That angle is 0 degrees. But if I click on one of those sides and rotate them and move this up like this, so imagine it rotating about the origin, I rotated it in a positive direction. I had to open this up, and that is a positive rotation. If I have a coordinate plane, again with x here and y here, and I draw my initial side of my angle here, and then my terminal side of my angle down here, then that is a negative rotation. So clockwise is a negative rotation, and counterclockwise, CCW, is a positive rotation. So this is asking us for our degree to be greater than 0. So I want to rotate this in a positive direction, and the positive direction is counterclockwise. So I'm going to rotate this. Now keep in mind it's rotating about the center here. So I'm going to rotate, but I have to move my center down to my point, so I just have to move the point back onto O. So I'm going to rotate this any number of degrees that is positive, and then move my O back to here. Okay, so now that I have done that, that is a rotation in a positive direction. Now if I wanted to know how many degrees that is, I can grab my protractor, rotate it so that I put this point here, and then get that line right on 0 degrees, and then I can use my tool to bring this over, move this over to my red vector, not vector, but ray, and if I look, it is approximately 48 degrees. Okay, so 48 degrees is positive, and therefore I've rotated this a positive distance. Okay, number 2 says, let there be a rotation of d degrees and about center 0, where p is a point that's not 0 again. Now it says select d so that d, the degree measurement of the angle, is less than 0 or negative. Find p prime, i.e. the rotation of point p using a transparency. So again, if I bring my ruler down here and draw my line, put an arrow, put my point here and here, and now if I, let's see, it's all one piece. Okay, I did it quick enough. Rotate this, but again, it's got to stay on 0. So there's a rotation, and this time I moved it this way, which is clockwise or negative, and d, as they say here, is less than 0. And now I have p prime. Did I put that up here? No, I did not. This is p prime. Okay, so there's rotating clockwise, which is negative, and counterclockwise, which is positive rotation. Okay, number 3. Which direction did point P rotate when D was greater than or equal to 0 or positive? So when our D was positive, it rotated counterclockwise. So I'm going to write counterclockwise. Which direction did the point P rotate when D was negative? So that's number 2. So when D was a negative rotation, D is less than 0, we went in a clockwise direction, the same way hands go on a clock. So this is a clockwise direction. 5. Let L, right here, be a line. Ray AB is right here. CD segment is right here. And angle EFG is right here. Let there be a rotation of D degrees around point 0. Find the image of all figures when D is positive. So we're going in a positive direction, which is counterclockwise. So what I'm going to do is, if I had my plastic, okay, put your plastic down on your paper, if you have one, hopefully, because you can't really rotate without these plastic transparencies. And so now I'm going to get my ruler. I'm going to line up my line L for starters. Okay. All right. Attending to precision the whole time. Okay, so there's L. Let me use different colors for each object. Okay, now I'm going to copy this, and if you're using plastic, that's fine. So I'm going to copy this. This is A, and this is B. Okay, and this is point. Let me use a different color. I'll use black for the point O. And then I'm going to just keep going. Remember, we're imagining that I have a piece of transparency over top of my paper, as you should be doing the same. Copying DC, and then finally the angle. Okay, always attending to precision when we're doing this. Okay, so now I'm going to group all of these. Okay, so now that I've grouped these, what the problem is saying is, what they're asking us to do is rotate about this point O. So I'm not going to be able to rotate it from that point. I will do a rotation and then I'll move O back on top of itself, but you would just rotate it so that you are putting your finger right here and twisting your plastic that's over top, your transparency, and rotating. So now that I've gotten all these copied, now I'm going to rotate them. And it said D degrees where D is greater than 0. So I want to go in a positive direction, which is counterclockwise. So this is a rotation counterclockwise, and it doesn't matter how far you go. It didn't say how many degrees, but I'm going to go 90 degrees for this example. So I'm going to go over to 90 degrees. O should then be on O. So the problem with that is some of my stuff is off the screen. Okay, so let me rotate it less than 90 degrees. Where D is still positive, we could go that direction and then move O over here. So just picture me just rotating at O, and this is how it would end up. So now I have all my values, and I would need prime markers for the names of everything that I have copied. A prime, B prime, L prime, and angle E prime, F prime, G prime. Point O and O prime are in the same location. So there is a rotation of these three figures rotated about O. Number 6, let AB be a segment of length 4 units, and angle CDE be an angle of 45 degrees. Let there be a rotation by D degrees around about 0, where D is negative, less than 0. So I'm going to do the same thing. So get your transparency and start copying everything onto the transparency. So I will show that portion of it. So if I were to do this, let's do this in red. Then there's AB. Okay. And then I will do the angle in green. Okay. Mark this as D, E, and C. And point O I will do in black. Okay. Okay, so now that I have grouped everything, now I'm going to click on them. I'm going to rotate them negative. Negative direction is clockwise. That will be this way, the same way a clock goes. And again, if I were to rotate that about O, O would stay where it is, and there would be my rotation. And then I would have to rename this A prime, B prime, O prime, or O, which is the same. D became D prime, E became E prime, and C became C prime. So there is a rotation of negative direction. And then A says, what is the length of the rotated segment rotation AB? In other words, how long is A prime B prime? So I would say segment A prime B prime, naming it properly. There's A prime B prime with a line over it. That's segment A prime B prime equals 4 units. Okay, even though it's been moved, I rotated it, the length did not change. B, what is the degree of the rotation of rotation angle C, D, E? C prime, D prime, E prime. Since it's just a rotation and they preserve shape and size, then this is also 45 degrees. So I would say the measure of angle C, D, E equals 45 degrees. Answer the question completely. Don't just put a 45 and say you answered the question. The measure of angle CDE equals 45 degrees. Number 7, let line L1 and L2 be parallel lines. Now we haven't discussed this yet, but in math we usually label parallelisms in a diagram with arrows, like so. Okay, or sometimes you'll just see it like this. That means parallel. I will not put those because they're not going to be part of the diagram, but I just wanted you to be aware that there is a way to label a diagram for parallel. Let there be a rotation by d degrees where d is between negative 360 and 360 degrees, about point O. So we have this point O right here. That's what we're going to rotate around. And the question is line L1 and L2 prime, their images, going to be are they going to be parallel? So I'm going to copy them. So I get my ruler. Okay. So you'd be doing this on plastic. Transparency. Let's make L purple this time. There's L1. And I need to extend my ruler a little bit here. And I will make this one green. There's L2. Okay, so we're going to rotate these, and I'm going to explain to you what they mean by not in between 360 and negative 360 degrees. Okay, so I grouped everything now. My purple line's a little bit shorter, but that's okay. Now I'm going to rotate this about O, so I need to do a rotation, but this O has to stay where it was. So if I rotated my transparency about O, then this is what it would look like. O would stay where it is. I just rotated this in a negative direction. I could have rotated it in a positive direction, like so. So it's just saying rotate it any way other than 360 degrees, because what is going to happen if, let me put this back. If I put this back right there and I rotate it 360 degrees all the way around there, this is 360 degrees. Well, what did I just do? I just rotated it one full rotation and everything is back where it started. And that's not what we want. And that's why they're saying any degree other than 360 or a negative 360 degrees would be going clockwise until I'm back to where I started. So this tells us just rotate at any rotation. I can go positive or negative. I can go negative this way or positive this way. It does not matter. And then I need to move my O back here. So my plastic transparency, if you're doing it on transparency, is rotated about O. Now let's answer the question. So there's a rotation that's not 360 degrees. And it says, is L1 prime, so I don't have any prime markers here. This is now L1 prime and this is L2 prime. Are these two lines still parallel? And the answer is yes. Two lines that are parallel, if rotated, will remain parallel in their image. Okay, number 8. Get these out of the way. Number 8 says, let L be a line and O be a center of rotation. Let there be a rotation by d degrees where d does not equal 180 about O. Are the lines L and L prime parallel? So I'm going to get my ruler, rotate it so it is parallel, so I can copy the line. So what I'm really doing here when I copy a line with my ruler, I'm creating another, I don't want black. I'm creating another line on top of a line so they coincide, they're not parallel. And then here is O. Okay. Okay, so what they said here is rotate it where the degree of rotation is not equal to 180. So watch what will happen if I rotate this 180 degrees. In other words, turn it upside down, and O is still on O. So we rotated about O 180 degrees. These two lines are still parallel if I rotate it 180 degrees. But they said rotate it where the degree is not 180 degrees. So now I'm going to rotate that any angle measure less than 180, so how about right here? And if I move this over, so it's rotated about O, this was rotated in a negative or clockwise direction, and now is my image parallel to my pre-image? And the answer is no, they will intersect. So no matter if I only rotated this 1 degree, a very slight rotation like that, And if I move this over here, the lines still cross. So anything between 0 and 180 degree rotations, positive or negative, parallel lines will intersect. But if I rotate it 180 degrees, they will coincide. Okay, I'll let you review the summary on your own. That is the end of lesson 5. Go to your problem set.